Welcome to ATRAM Game Changers, the podcast that invites you to explore the exceptional minds of our time. Brought to you by ATRAM, the leading independent digitally powered asset and wealth management firm. Buckle up as we reveal the unheard stories, hidden insights, and innovative breakthroughs of those who bravely defy the status quo. Discover the driving forces, the challenges conquered, and the strategies employed by these remarkable individuals. Tune in as innovative ideas and different perspectives help sharpen your ability to think critically and creatively. ATRAM Game Changers, where every story is a journey, every insight is a revelation, and every innovation is a game changer. In a world full of players, be a game changer.
Welcome to the ATRAM Game Changers podcast, where we delve into the groundbreaking ideas and innovations that are reshaping our world today. I'm your host, Philip Hagedorn, and today we're excited to have a truly exceptional guest joining us. Today we have Ernest Cu, a visionary figure in the technology sector in the Philippines, a founding father of one of the call center and BPO industry, and today the president and CEO of Globe Telecom. He has played a crucial role in spearheaded digital transformation and improving connectivity across the Philippines. With his vast experience and innovative mindset, Mr. Cu has consistently led initiatives that empower both business and individuals, driving significant advancement and change in the industry. So let's sit back, enjoy this conversation with Mr. Ernest Cu. Ernest, welcome to Game Changers.
Hi, Phil. Thanks for having me. And it's an honor to be the pilot of your podcast.
There's no better pilot than you to have on this podcast with us today. Now, we're super excited, Ernest, and obviously Globe, there's been a lot of news lately.
Yeah.
You guys reported your second quarter results, and I think you're headed to a record profit year. That's our forecast, at least. And actually some impressive growth that we're seeing in your core business, right? So, it's been a fantastic ride, Ernest. Can you comment a little bit about these numbers, these earnings numbers that you're seeing, and what you expect for the second half of the year?
Well, we are actually also very pleased with the numbers. The growth in the second quarter for the mobile business was 7%. Which is unprecedented in terms of a mature market. Again, a bit surprising, but we're seeing the results, I think, of a very quiet industry, an industry that switched from heavy competition, if you recall, when I first joined, into something that's focused more on stability. I think both telcos are kind of satisfied where they are with respect to their share. And also that the third player hasn't really affected the market in any great form. So the focus is there really on maintaining your own subs, improving their spend by providing more consistent coverage and quality. Globe, I'm happy to say, has been awarded one of the most consistent telcos in the region in terms of delivering steady 4G quality and 5G quality throughout the network, right? The other thing we're focusing on right now is on building our fiber business. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, Globe was late to the game. We did not start
fiber, meaning this is the home broadband, home stuff, right? Home broadband, and
we did not build until middle of 2020 because we were, the leaders of broadband then, using fixed wireless as a technology on 4G. Right. However, the market changed. We were a bit late, so we started building. But we also saw that the postpaid market in broadband matured rather quickly, right? And so we decided to do prepaid and prepaid as a focus. And we're seeing some incredible growth as well on that one, and growth because we're very happy because it's all pure digital. We don't fill out forms. You don't go to a store. You download our Globe One app, and from within that app, which you also, by the way, use to manage all your Globe accounts in one app. Right. Fill in a form, schedule your appointment, 24-hour installation, and there you go, right? And so it took a while for us to get to scale. As you know, digital is a little bit harder to scale, but when it does scale, it scales nicely, and there is not much more capex or opex needed to continue to build it.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of capex, and unless you're a stock nerd like all of us are, you don't know that Globe has been spending over $1 billion a year in capex. No, and there's signs that might start to relax a little bit.
Absolutely.
Is that good for us or bad? I mean, I think we feel that investment. I think as a user, your experience is much better, etc. Now that you're slowing down, what can we expect?
Well, the slowdown isn't really meant to slow down the quality, no? It's really just to pace it a bit better than what the reason we upped the capex, to 60+% of our revenue, which is crazy, right?
Amazing.
If you think about it, for 2-3 years, both telcos did it.
It's crazy.
Right? It's because they relaxed the rules for permits.
Can you say that 60% of revenue
goes to capex? I mean, come on, think about what business does that, right?
That's commitment. What you call
it's commitment to it. We have a 50% EBITDA, so we're still negative, right?
Yeah.
And we pay dividends on top of that. We never start paying dividends.
Right.
So indeed, the leverage of the company, the gearing went up. Right. So now it's time to balance it, right? With the commitment to the shareholders and to the investing public that we become cash flow positive as an overall company by 2025. Right. So our intent is to go down to the 40s, below 40% of capex, of revenue going into capex on an ongoing basis.
Right.
To truly make it a sustainable company.
Right.
That burst of investments done, right? The bulk of the coverage has been done. Now it's a little bit of adjustment here and there, reaching the hard-to-reach areas, focus in line with what government wants to do, so balancing it all out.
That's fantastic. I guess the other bit of big news was a large investment that you guys attracted into Mint. No, Mint. Maybe you can give the audience just a 1 minute elevator speech of what Mint's goal and vision is for you.
Well, Mint, as we're better known as GCash to the public. The goal has always been to bring about financial inclusion into the Philippines, right? Democratization of the many financial products that used to be reserved for the wealthy, right? The things that we do together, even a bank account, right, was out of reach of the normal Filipino because that it was physically done. So the theme that we have at GCash is finance for all. Make sure financial services are available to all. Filipinos here, Filipinos who are rich, Filipinos who are poor, Filipinos overseas as well. Right. That's why even our international expansion is focused on OFWs and Filipinos abroad. No, not necessarily competing in a new market. Right. We're in 16 countries, but focused on the Filipinos in those countries. So really, that's the mission. It's part of the overall Globe purpose, right? Of changing the Philippines through digital, if you would, right? Because that's where the license to play, the brand permission exists for us, and our capabilities lie in building these businesses.
I think again, back to the stock market nerds that we are, when we saw this transaction, over $700 million invested.
Actually closer to 900 million.
$900 million. I think a $5 billion valuation. Many of us were thinking, wow, this is like GCash is now the third or fourth largest bank in the country, So what can you say about that?
Well, we'd rather be called the number one fintech.
There you go.
Because,
number one. Just remember, guys, GCash is the number one fintech in the country.
Philippines. Because for once, we really don't compete with the banks, in my opinion, and even our own opinion, right? We're never going to do mortgages. We're not going to finance cars. We're not going to give loans to companies like Globe, right? So we really want to provide services to the people who the banks don't reach, and so that's why we don't consider ourselves a bank. As a matter of fact, we partner with many banks.
Right.
You got CIMB, BPI, Union, UNO, and everybody else who wants to come and help, work with us to bring about this inclusion. They're all welcome to work with us.
And what do you think about this partner of yours, Mitsubishi? I mean, they are, I don't know, one of the top banks in Japan. What are they going to bring to the table? Well,
our conversations with them actually started, because we saw tremendous traction in our lending business. Today, we've disbursed over 155 billion in small denomination loans. We got a loan book that's around 40 billion because it's a quick revolver, right?
Yeah.
Most of these things, short-term loans. And, we're seeing that the public is now migrating from the loan sharks type of borrowing into legitimate, borrowing where one is involved in a credit score. That's the most critical. And so we were looking at for different ways to scale that business, obviously. It's got fantastic NPL, right?
Yeah.
It's very profitable. But of course, we cannot loan everything off our balance sheet because we're not a bank.
Yeah.
We don't have deposits, right? And so we approached them for wholesale lending, let's partner, securitization, packaging of the loans that they would take into their balance sheet because we want to maintain an optimal on-book, off-book ratio as well. And but the discussion was steered towards getting some equity.
Got
in
too
GCash.
exciting for them, I guess.
And
They
so
saw
that's
the
why
opportunity.
it took us a while
They
as well
saw it.
because we really weren't fundraising.
Yeah.
The talk is all about IPO.
Right.
If you remember, and the company is profitable. Remember, Mint turned profitable in 2021. Cash flow, net income at the end of that year. And
Actually, just so people know, we've done some numbers, and if I'm not mistaken, the investors did not. There was speculation that they were paying many times multiple, and it's a reasonable multiple, I believe.
No, very
in the
I think
mid-20s or
reasonable.
somewhere there.
When we hit the 1 billion valuation back in 2022, I think it was. Those numbers were June numbers. By the time September, October came around and the closing happened, we looked like, they looked like geniuses already, right? At that point in time. So yeah, I think everybody did really well, right? And so it took us some time to kind of figure out how we were going to bring them in because we didn't want to get diluted too much as well if we brought in a large amount because the numbers are getting bigger now.
Yeah.
And so the private equity guy said, maybe we can take some money
Time.
off
How
the
long
table.
were they invested there?
2 years.
It's a little short of their 5-year target, no?
Yeah,
But,
so they did very well. Everybody did well. So it's a combination of primary and secondary shares. I think 163 million of new money came in. The rest was
Secondary.
the secondary is coming in. And of course, when you open the door to fundraising, Ayala said, hey,
I went in too.
maybe we can come in as well. We want to increase our stake. We believe in this business. We'd like to, increase our exposure to this business. And we said, okay, let's try to fit everybody in. That's why it took us a while to close this thing. It took about 9 months to do it, but we did it anyway.
It's fantastic news, and I think it's a real credit to the team and the product you've put on the table. Being involved in technology in the Philippines and seeing the growth literally from the call center days in 1999 to today, what do you think of that, the foundations of the sector? Because for us to grow, you need technical people, good people, hardworking people, developers here. What can you say about how that whole ecosystem has evolved?
Well, the style of growing that we do at Globe and the group is really one of partnership. Let's face it, we don't invent new technology in the Philippines. There's no deep tech. We don't even have scale digital businesses here. But there are many, many problems in the Philippines, everyday life problems of the Filipino that can be solved digitally. So our approach is always find a partner who can help you. Right? The GCash example is a perfect one. We kind of timed it that in 2016, we were ready to relaunch GCash.
Right.
GCash has been around for this is 20th year, man. It's not like happened new, right? It's been
People
a
say,
concept.
that's perfect timing. No, they've been around since 2003.
When I came to
think.
Globe, it was there already, but it was predicated upon using SMS to make a transaction. It's impossible, right?
Right.
And then they progressed to USSD, but nothing really worked until the apps proliferated and people had smartphones to use apps with, and 4G networks were around. At that point in time, 2016, it was 70% smartphone penetration and about almost 100% 4G. So, pwede na. So we decided to look for a partner. Because why? We knew the local market. We knew we could execute. We're fantastic marketers. We don't have a platform.
Right.
One thing I always espouse at Globe is know what you can do and admit what you can't. Right? So we took a partner in, and fortunately, we got Ant Financial.
Right.
They brought in the Alipay platform. We brought in the marketing, the know-how, the knowledge about the consumer. And I think the other thing we brought in was the ability, we knew how to change habits. Remember, Globe Telecom moved people from the 3G era to the 4G era.
That's right.
We taught people how to use the smartphone. We taught people how to use streaming video, streaming music. Remember, it's all pirated before. Today,
I mean, you guys brought in Spotify. I mean, you were the first to bring everybody in, right?
Disney Plus, everybody was partnered with us. HBO, name it, we had it, right?
Right.
But it just that shifting of habits. Mm-hmm. So we felt we could also do it with Fintech, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you know that the experience is better, all you have to do is make people try it, right?
Right.
But typically, with most Filipinos, it was met with skepticism. Will my money get lost? They're not a bank.
Yeah.
Right? Will it just disappear? Will it get to the other side? All that, right? But when people were forced to try it during the pandemic, they said, okay pala to This is really easy to use. Hey, it really works. And we thought after the pandemic, oh no, growth is going to slow. Or it just kept going. Right? So it's really taken off. It's become a way of life, right? No. And one goal I gave the team was, sana one day, we can be like Google, i-Google mo yan. Sabi ko, ngayon...
i-Gcash mo na yan,
yeah,
diba? I mean, they're already saying,
yeah,
i-Gcash mo na yan.
Exactly.
It's like together with Kleenex and Coke.
yeah. When you get to that level, I think, sabi ko nga sa team, that's our dream, diba? To become the verb for sending money.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, ATRAM mo na yan becomes an investment verb as well, diba? No, I think we're proof that it's a game changer. It's a game changer for us. We've, acquired so many million investors that were impossible to reach in the past. And these folks are investing in the world's best tech companies through one of the funds that are in your platform. So we certainly feel that it's been a game changer, and it's been a game changer for many people. There are communities out there, G-Invest community, that's sharing with each other what they do and how they invest and what funds they like and what funds they don't like and where they make money and where they don't. And that's part of it, right? I think that's, we want to see that engagement continue. And we hope, Gcash and Globe continue to support these type of platforms, right? That give people financial freedom. Open finance is in the forefront. I don't know if many people know what that is. Maybe you can share a little bit of what you think open finance means for people.
My definition of open is open to everybody. It doesn't mind the technology about it, the laws around it, right? It's available. For instance, before you and I decided to put the ATRAM funds onto Gcash, imagine a guy who wants to put 50 pesos a day away and put it in a technology fund. That's impossible, right?
Yeah.
And the poor guy will be putting in a savings account at most, even if he has a bank account, or just keep his money in a drawer somewhere, not earning, right?
Yeah.
So this democratization is really something that we are enabling across many segments of the financial industry. Today, insurance, you can buy there. I have a little anecdote. My children were applying for a visa, right? For example, to Europe, to Italy, to one of the embassy, and they were told all of a sudden that the babies that they were going with needed travel insurance. Okay, we didn't know.
Okay,
the adults had it.
Yeah.
And so they just got travel insurance in Gcash instant, and they proceeded with the application. I mean, you think about the access and the instant ability. They had the choice of three carriers that were there. So this is what we're trying to bring, access, right? And instant access.
Well, I have to admit that I found a use for Gcash that I never thought I would use Gcash for. And this is to watch Premier League football.
The early days, I remember you telling
I mean, it's amazing because you have some of your apps there that have gaming sites that stream these live matches. And again, parang it's something that was impossible to get access to in the past. And it's a byproduct of what is there, but just proof that when you start putting all of these things together, the services that you're able to deliver are immeasurable.
It really starts with really understanding the consumers, the customers, what their daily problems are, and start solving them. That was also the genesis of GCash International, right? I mean, we're a very, very focused company in the sense that we focus on Filipinos, regardless of where the Filipino is. So today, we said, hey, one of the biggest roadblocks to Filipinos abroad using GCash is they had to bring a Filipino SIM with them because they need a Filipino number. So we lobbied, and we were allowed to allow the Filipinos abroad to use the local number that they already have there to open a GCash account. So that's OFWs can send money directly to bypass the whole old process, wherein they send the money, it's a fee, they have the katiwala to take it, and then dispense it. More often than not, it doesn't go
to where it's supposed to go.
Right? We all know that, right? And then they're forced to go send again. Today, like in the US, we're building out the cash in. It's 12,000 institutions, banks, credit unions, whatever, savings banks, whatever. You can now cash into GCash, and then they can just directly pay the bills, right? So that's putting more control in their hands.
Yeah.
Right? So, we try to solve these kinds of problems that we see that are problems of scale. There's millions of Filipinos outside.
Our problem of scaling was exactly that. If we had 20 people sign up for a fund, they'd have to come here.
Yes.
Fill up the forms, may pila dyan sa may elevator, just for 20 folks. And now we're processing 10,000 a day, right? I mean, it's amazing how technology has been able to allow us to reach so many folks. And I think that's going to change the game because, we have so many young people in this country. We have, our baby boomer generation is now starting to work, and they're savvy. They know technology.
You mean the Gen Z?
I don't know the gens anymore, but they all use cell phones. It's part of their way of life. And, my children can't get away without using GCash. And I think it's there forever for them. No? So, how do you think, what do you want to look for partners like ATRAM or others, so that they can work hard to get partnered with GCash? What would you want them?
Well,
what
we
would
want
you want to
innovative
see?
products and people who are willing to take a chance, right? I mean, when we started with ATRAM, what was GCash then?
Yeah.
We were just beginning, right? It was you and I chatting on the way to somewhere. And, hey, wouldn't this be a great idea?
Yeah.
And and then we try it. There's really no harm in just simply trying, right? And it becomes a success, right? But that really was what we look for in partners: cooperation, innovation, and alignment towards truly providing great products and great customer experience. Because if we have the wrong experience, they won't come back anymore.
Yeah,
if it's, oh my God, you thought online, then you have to finally come here to ATRAM and put your wet signature. Well, that kills the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes, we might have to work together to change the rules.
Right.
Lobby regulators and say, hey, we don't really need that signature.
Right.
We don't really need that form anymore. Right. Look at how ironic it is, right? To open a bank account in GCash, it takes you 5-10 minutes. To open a bank account with the same bank, right?
In the branch.
You're going to fall in line.
First, you have to get to the branch.
Right? So, so that kind of thing, right? So we want partners who are really willing to try, willing to be innovative, and also differentiate the offering, but not all the same also in the platform.
So what's your concept with technology? And I think I heard this in a previous interview of yours, is, well, maybe not the exact same words, but this idea of failing fast, right? Where you try things and you look for metrics and then you adjust or you kill it. What do you think about, how do you think about that in Globe?
Well, I'll give you an example of this thing, right? I mean, the card thing on GCash has been around for a long time.
The card, you mean the plastic card, yeah.
There's 2 cards actually in GCash have been around for a long time. I remember my own frustration. I remember the early days of Netflix and all that before they became partners with Globe. You could not subscribe to it unless you had a US credit card.
Yeah.
But inside GCash is the US debit card with American Express.
Yeah.
It's called the American Express virtual card, right? And then there was also a card, MasterCard back then, but it didn't scale. It was too early for its time. Right. Now, after the relaunch, then it changed the game. So there's millions of GCash Visa debits now out there.
Right.
So it's really just trying it for a while. If you think that the problem remains, then maybe it's just timing. There are products that will not completely fail as well, right? And I think, but you'll never know what the public would really want. And then you have to analyze also, was it the product itself? Was it the customer experience? Right? Or are there other fundamentals that have to be in place prior to relaunching it?
Right.
So, there's many things that we look at in a business.
And when you fail fast, you're reading data to see whether things are working or not working. Is that...
No, when you fail, the most valuable thing is to learn why you failed.
Why you failed,
right?
Yeah. Wait, that's for advice. Ernest is now giving everybody here advice about running your businesses, trying things, and adjusting quickly. And not just pouting, I guess, when you don't do well.
And also, when we go into a business, we make sure that problem has not been solved already. Because if there's a scaled
solution.
For instance, telco, right? The third telco came in 20 years after we came in. It's like, why are you coming in? It's like,
it's a little
I don't
late.
know, right? It's a little bit ludicrous. But remember, GCash came in when no
so
one
they
was
haven't really
problem.
disrupted. This third telco has not really changed the
they're
playing
raising
field.
money in September.
We'll see what happens, I guess. Okay.
So that's one of my tenets, right? It has to be differentiated. That way you have a chance of so they don't have to compete on price.
Right.
It's not the same product, in the Philippines kasi we like yung magkakatabi, diba? And then they just compete on price.
Right.
The stores, for instance, in the old brick and mortar days.
Right.
So that's most important. How do you differentiate the service you're going to bring to market? Maybe one other thing is that it's got to have positive unit economics. I remember the days when we started in GCash. It's very expensive for the cash in and almost free for the out.
Okay.
Right? If that's not an equation that's going to work over the long term.
That's right.
It's like your cost of goods is higher than your revenue, and when you scale, your loss is going to expand, right?
That's
rather
right.
than be profitable.
Right.
So we kind of fix that economic situation rather quickly.
So Ernest, I have one question for you here. As a game changer in the telco industry, what legacy do you hope to leave for your future leaders in the sector, and how do you see ATRAM's role in shaping and inspiring the future?
Well, I think the legacy is that we've set the groundwork. My first stage of my job, we were able to expand and give people access to the internet. Majority of Filipinos have their first experience with internet on their mobile phone. With 4G networks, smartphones, they got it, right? And then I think the second thing that we enabled is financial inclusion through GCash, right? We drove the rate from 28% now to closer up to 70%, who have access to different financial services. The hope is that they continue the evolution, right? The job is unfinished. There are many problems left in this country. We're trying to solve healthcare, for instance, with Consulta MD and others. So the next leader should really think about building upon the infrastructure, building upon the digital nativeness of our people or interest of our people to build additional solutions for the future so that the country can be completely digitized, right? Because I think digitalization of a country relates to increased GDP on a natural basis. And ATRAM, I think we can continue to support by making the products even more accessible in one way or another, right? And like I said earlier, education. We're not the experts in the field of investing, but you are, right? How do you take these concepts down to something understandable for the everyday Filipino, the fisherman, the farmer, included in that particular objective?
Well, thank you. We'll definitely take note of that and working hard to reach those folks in a simple way. So what advice, maybe as we're wrapping it up, it's been a great morning here with you, Ernest, learning so much. What advice could you give the young folks out there starting businesses, thinking of getting a job, getting into an industry? What for you is one of the more exciting things to be doing here in the Philippines?
Well, I like I said, we focus on digital and the digital space always, because I think the one that when it scales big. right? But don't go into a crowded space where everybody's jumping in. You got to be a bit ahead. I think it's something that Steve Jobs always advocated, right? Sometimes people don't even know they need it, right? When we brought in Netflix, people said, why need Netflix? I can go to Cinema Square and buy a DVD, right? Or when we brought Spotify in, why I can sideload for whatever,
Apple, whatever.
The Chang'e, right? But it changed the world. Gcash, why do I need Gcash? I have cash. Right, but now you realize, why do I need cash when I have Gcash? Is the thing now. So it's really, it all starts with understanding the customer, understanding what their problems are, understanding if you have the wherewithal to actually deliver the proper customer experience. Then the business can scale, right?
Okay, and maybe just to end, how would you like to see ATRAM move forward with our relationship with Gcash and Globe? No, I mean, we are there to provide product. I think we're looking really now at pensions to be the next game changer for individuals. What can we do to improve what we're doing and improve our product and help those folks out?
I think the products are pretty much there, Phil. No, but I think what we need more in the public, given that we're going after a very wide audience, and an audience that just not used to investing, may not know the terms, is truly education. Maybe podcasts like this.
Coaching.
And I heard you have a coach, Phil.
There is.
Kind of thing.
I'll invite him sometime to come over.
That could be something that really grassroots level of education to the public. I mean, they don't know what financial products are. Insurance, for instance, the Philippines insurance, if we don't use it, people think it's wasted. But they don't understand the concept of protection, for instance, right? So what is a fund? What does that mean?
Right.
Yeah. What are these things inside the fund? What can they do with it? Or, for instance, and then really boiling down maybe the lingo to something they can understand.
Right.
Saying, don't drink that second cup of coffee or that fast food. Put it into the ATRAM fund because we're as low as 50 pesos, right?
Right.
And then soon you will have 2,500 pesos or whatever, right?
And enough for plenty
that's growing,
sandwiches.
right?
Yeah.
That you just pissed away over a beer or something, right? So things like that, I think, make people think in their language, right?
And it's so seamless now that it's an option. It wasn't like that was possible 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
That's right. I mean, it's the same app because you're going to pay, right? Buy that beer.
Buy the beer or invest.
Or put it in it's one button, right?
Great. Well, that's good advice. And I think something that we'll all take to heart as we move along. Well, Ernest, thank you so much again for being with us today. This pilot episode, I think, is an exciting one. It's that hopefully we don't fail fast here, right? I mean, I think
you're successful already.
We'll get that data and listen to the people out there, and I'm sure that they're going to learn a lot from this morning that we spent together. Thank you so much, Ernest.
Pleasure.
Good luck, Globe. Good luck, Gcash, and we're waiting for that IPO. We'll be the first subscribers.
Thank you.
Well, that's it, folks. We've reached the end of our first pilot episode of the ATRAM Game Changers podcast. I thought it was a super exciting conversation to have with Ernest. Learned a lot today. And if you found this episode helpful, be sure to share it with your friends and colleagues. You can find the ATRAM Game Changers podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. That always helps us. Press that subscribe button and never miss an episode. We'll see you again soon. Take care and have a great day ahead. Cheers.